All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I trust you all can hear me. Um, Good afternoon once again. My name is Dennis Williams. I'll be your moderator for today. You all are welcome to today's session. I can see one of our mentors is already here with us. You're welcome, Mr. Peter. Thank you for joining in on time, and thank you to our mentees that are able to join in on time also. Um, we'll be shortly starting the session. All right, just to quickly give a run through some of the announcements for today, right? So we've officially commenced registration for the next quarter. So if you have friends, relatives, colleagues, co-students or co-mentees that are interested in our program and our mentorship program, you can please reach out to me and I will do well to share the registration flyers for them to join in into this wonderful program. We've come a long way already in this fintech program. This is the third week of mentorship. We've gone through week one, week two, and this is week three. And I'm sure our mentees have learned. Those that have been able to keep up with the sessions have learned a lot as regards what we've had to share with our mentees. And our topic for today is fintech business models, profit models, and sector spread. So we'll be getting into the session as soon as possible. But before we do that, I would just like to introduce our mentors that are supposed to be in class today. Our first mentor for today is sorry about my screen. Is Miss Mariam Hassan. Mariam Hassan leads strategic payments and Mariam Hassan leads payment strategy and business and partnership at Leatherback. She has more than 9 years experience in payments and collections, fintech business and partnership, digital platform, product development and strategy. She is in charge of strategic partnership engagement and payment platform deployment at Leatherback. Given her experience in business creation and growth, she is known to build processes that boost development of ideas into business into business ventures and and meticulous in selecting strategic partners for the business. She is a skilled digital transformation innovation management. She is skilled she is a skilled digital transformation, innovation management, and strategy professional. She is an automobile enthusiast who enjoys traveling and reading. She is also very passionate about giving back by imparting knowledge through any means available and is inspired by women in positions of power. Thank you, Miss Mariam. She's not here with us yet, but I'm sure she will be joining us as soon as she is able to. Thank you, Ma, for joining in. Our next mentor is none other than Mr. George Onyewuchi. George currently heads fintech engagement for First Bank and its subsidiaries across Africa. Um, at its digital innovation lab, setting up and driving um, the bank's fintech strategy. George is a link that connects technology, business, and ecosystem partnership. He is at the intersection of products, partnership, and ecosystem building. He has led the tech solution product development for the SME banking business of the leading commercial bank and has taken numerous financial and non-financial products from idea to market and growth. He has led digital transformation in the client's engagement processes for leading commercial banks, including one of Nigeria's banking industry first end-to-end account open for corporate account and SME digital lending. His team has won numerous awards for powering growth of SMEs. He also provides advisories for Crip.Africa towards developing blockchain infrastructure and building the operating system for African businesses on the blockchain and hosts knowledge sessions on blockchain applications to various industry within the African context. Mr. George is also not here with us, but I'm sure as soon as he's able to, we'll be glad to have him on call. Our third mentor for today is Gretchen Rodriguez. Gretchen is an entrepreneur minded products leader with experience designing and launching global financial and non-financial products in multiple areas such as e-commerce, payments, cybersecurity, identity, and trust. With 10 plus years of experience in the industry, she has worked with various e-commerce platforms and payment systems across the world, witnessing firsthand the transformative power they hold in today's digital landscape. Her has allowed her to develop a deep understanding of the intricacies involved in crafting seamless online shopping experience and securing payment processes for customers worldwide. Um, while we await the presence of some of our mentors, but we are sure that as soon as it's in their power to, they will be joining us. All right, our last mentor for today, sorry, is Mr. Peter Rugo. Sorry if I did not pronounce your name very well, Mr. Peter. Sorry about that. Peter studied at the University of St. Gallen. He worked at a local district court at the end as judge. After his bar exam, he was employed with a well-known law firm in Zurich. He publishes on a regular basis in the field of commercial and corporate law, financial service law, fintech, and dispute resolution. As an independent attorney at law of law, he advises national and international clients in all matters of corporate development, transaction, um, arms a taxes, contracts negotiations, and company restructuring. He provides legal services for many companies, especially with respect to corporate governance and corporate housekeeping. Thank you so much, Mr. Peter. Thank you for joining in. We are glad to have you on call today. We look forward to hearing from you shortly and hearing from your wealth of experience on what you have to share with us on today's subject matter. And just to get straight into the business of the day, we would like to welcome you, sir, for your introduction into today's topic. You're welcome, Mr. Peter. We'll just like to briefly hear from you, just having an introduction into today's topic. Thank you very much, sir, for joining in.
Yes, thank you, Dennis. Thank you for being here present in this group and sharing knowledge and getting knowledge shared. So I would like, maybe I can share my screen. Yes, I can do that. Yes. Second. I have prepared a short presentation about fintech business models. Second. Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I start like that. Okay. So fintech business models. That's a topic I would like to talk about in the next couple of minutes. The We have a lot of fintech companies, a lot of startups in the market starting their business in the fintech area. Why? Because it's a moving target, it's a moving topic all over the world. People are trying to step into the fintech market. So the business model is basically something how a company can create value, delivers value, and collects certainly also payment revenues for it. It's essential. It's an essential part if you start your business to develop and operate a good business model. A good business model, which is set up properly, is mostly a guarantee for success. What are the steps and the approaches how to get to a proper business model? So basically, it's not an easy task how to design a business model because many startups or banks just follow a traditional business model, a traditional idea without considering conditions so that they fail easily. So that's why when you set up a startup, it's good to take time to get a proper business model. So it is to start very important to define the value of an organization. What kind of value shall the organization, the company, the business offer to the customers? It's how do you get that? How do you get such a value? How do you get such an idea? It is one point which is very important to get an overview over the fintech industry. So, if you think you want to step into the fintech business, it's very wise to get an overview of the fintech industry, to collect data, to collect ideas from the existing fintech industry, from the existing fintech companies. That is actually one of the first most important initial step to get an overview of the market. Next step is identifying market opportunities. That is also connected with the first part, what I said. It's some kind of a market research. What are the trends? What are the needs of the customers? You need to analyze the customer needs and what are the trends. It's a vital step in finding a fintech business model to collect market data, to collect the consumer demands and the industry volume. If you have a demand but you have no industry volume, it doesn't make sense to set up a business model. And certainly it's also important in the whole situation, the competition, what is the competition, and also the regulatory aspect. So that means in this kind of in this step, you just usually do this so-called SWOT analysis. That means what are the strengths of the business, what are the weaknesses, what are the opportunities, and what are the threats. So this is a very common tool how to identify the market opportunities. The SWOT analysis is a very well tested tool. As I already said, it's a acknowledged technique, a standard technique, and also to be aware of that whenever you go out in the market, try to get some funds. It's also a vital aspect of your pitch to show a proper SWOT analysis. The customer needs, that's that's not that easy to get to the to the needs of a customer, because usually, and that's what you learn in normal business schools, that when you create a business, you create also needs. But still, you see in your daily life or wherever that there are needs. The customer need help in whatever way. So that is also an important step to get to the customer needs. Assessing competition and potential barriers to entry to the market. That analysis involves identifying the company's strengths and weaknesses. It's also the opportunities and threats in the market. That means, for instance, we need to see what kind of barriers will exist. The rise of cloud technology, for instance, is a barrier. Data analytics is a barrier. The costs of data analysis Also, the amounts of data is a barrier. Certainly, also regulatory scrutiny and high market competition. So, if you try to set up a fintech business and there are many other competitors, maybe you are looking for something else. If you have some market opportunity, it is as a next step uh, to design the business model. How do you design a business model? That's very crucial in your life as a beginning entrepreneur. You choose the target market. So, what kind of market do you want to target with your business? What kind of market you want to? Is it a narrow market or is it's an excess market segment, which is also an issue in case you have not enough funds to go there. So you try to segment your market. You see what kind of market is good for our business model. So that is the next step. Then this is one, I'm mainly working as a lawyer, but this is the very crucial point to select the value proposition and the revenue streams. Value proposition and revenue stream, to select that, to get to that, means at the end of the day, where and how do you get your revenues? How do you earn money? The one thing is you have a great idea, but how do you earn your money? And that is what a lot of startup companies usually forget because they're focused on the idea, nice feature, but they forget to sell. They forget to monetize their idea. So the value proposition means what is your uniqueness? What is the uniqueness of your business and where? That comes to the next, where the revenue stream, where can you earn money? In fintech, there are some aspects, some approaches where you get your money. Only to name a few is licensing. So that means you license your business, you get license fees. You also, the second point is to get the transaction fee. But for instance, payment services, you get your fee on the transactions. Or the third point is brokerage. So you get a fee on the brokerage of the business. And certainly also as a fourth point is the online advertising, intermediary, and certainly merchant revenue. So you have different kind of approaches where you get your money. Why is it that important to define that? It's quite easy because at the end of the day, when you select your revenue model, you do not only decide how the technology management and the IT resources will be, so the how you choose to get your money, that has an impact on the IT, on everything, on the whole business, also on the legal side. It's also on a second very important part. It shows you how you can fund your resources. That's why this point is mostly important. It's important to clarify this step at the beginning, at the start of your fintech business. It also sets the expectation between the business units and the technology groups that will be involved in delivering the services. So that is one of the most crucial point, the revenue model. I know I am in touch with a lot of startups. They don't like it because they are focusing on the idea, on developing the idea, but that's the important. Then, as a next step, when you design your business model, it's to determine the key activities and the resources required. So, when you have a business model, you also think of where are your key activities? do you cover all the needs, or do you cover all the markets? Do you cover all the possibilities, or you focus on two, three different points? That's important because then you can define the resources, you can set up a budget, and you can try to get some funds based on that. And then the fourth point is defining the cost structure. You had your revenue streams. You have to define the cost. What does it cost? Does it cost less or more? Whatever kind of services the customer is asking for, and that's also the pricing strategy. And if you have that, then that's always forgotten. It's important to test the model in the market. Before you go to the market, you test it. You have to test it. You have to find people who are doing and testing that. There are different kind of opportunities or possibilities. We are testing now a documentary service, and we asked all our family and friends to use that tool. So that's one possibility, family and friends. And another possibility I had recently with a client, they just said, if you are willing to test our software, our product now, we will grant you for the next 10 years always a discount of 30% on the price. So that was the idea, to get a lot of feedback, because that's the next important thing, to gather the feedback, to make then the adjustments, and then last but not least to get the proper business model is also to optimize and to scale the business model. Scaling means actually, is your business model, does that allow to get more and more revenues? Can you scale it? Can you get more returns on back and forth? Or was it that what you have created the business model, or do you see can you adopt it for other needs, whatever? I don't know if I have some time left, Dennis. If not, so I will hand over
Yes, sir. Please, you can go ahead, sir.
Okay. I just wanted to show you some fields of business models, to keep it short, where fintech is very strong at the moment. Peer-to-peer lending, that's an alternative to bank loan. There we see a lot of activities of fintech companies. Um, that that is something which is apart from the banking market, but still to be aware. We have some regulatory issues there to be observed in each country. Then, with also something which is very, very common for fintech companies, buy now, pay later solutions. We know certainly Klarna. Was set up some years ago in Sweden as a very small company. Now is one of the biggest lender in Europe. Wealth management and AI, I think that is a very moving target where fintech companies will step in the next 2 or 3 years to help wealth managers to get better solutions. We have to be aware of that. I don't believe that this is fully accepted by the market, but it's a very, very nice area. E-payment service, we have this very common also, where fintech companies are already active in the market. Mobile money, we have in Switzerland a very nice success story of a small company. They started 5, 6 years ago, just before COVID, with mobile payment systems over the iPhone, and it's now one of really very successful company called Twint. You can pay by making a picture on the iPhone by a QPR code. It's very easy and simple. So that is also something. Cryptocurrency, we know it. It's a little bit has bad reputation in the last year, but actually the blockchain technology, which is backing up the cryptocurrency, is still a very great and beautiful tool to secure transactions. That's what I have to say. InsurTech, that is a very hot moving target because of the fact that the insurance companies are quite behind regarding fintech. And I'm sure in the next couple of years that the insurance companies need to follow up. Digital scoring is a topic, and open banking. What are the key challenges? All kind of field or of businesses in this fintech industry. We have regulatory challenges. That is an important point because why? It's in Europe, we have at the moment, fortunately, very good fintech laws, which are enacted last years only, but these are all recent laws. But in some markets, there are no laws, there are no regulation, and that's always an issue. Market penetration, customer trust, fintech solutions are not that trustworthy as traditional banking, you know. So the fintech company which start with 4 or 5 employees and then tries to guarantee some payments in billions or whatever. So that is a little bit a gap between the company and the trust. So that is an issue to be observed, and which is something which is more and more common, partnerships between traditional banks and fintech companies. So that is something which comes up because the banks have a little bit missed this market, have missed this the new technology. So they try to partner with fintech companies. That's on the one hand good because the fintech companies, the ideas get boosted. On the other hand, maybe they will get this traditional banking thinking, which is not always good for a fintech company. And certainly emerging markets and financial inclusion. That means emerging markets. That's where the future of our of the economy is anyhow in our world. So there we have an easy access of new ideas. So that are the key challenges. And that's basically also what I wanted to tell you about. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Peter, for that introduction. In your slides, you were able to give us a run through the business models and also some other very important things that I'm sure our mentees were paying attention to, and they were looking at closely while and listening very attentively while you were making that presentation. So thank you very much, sir. We truly appreciate that presentation. Okay, moving on with the session. Right. We've heard from our mentor, Mr. Peter, as he has shared his own side of business models. He has just gone through an overview of what business models look like and what we should be paying attention to. So we also want to hear from your own end. You've seen Mr. Peter's presentation. We want to hear from you based on the research you were able to make into the topic for today. We want to see your own contributions. While we wait for other mentors to join, if per se they are unable to join, we will just continue on with the rest of the class. Sure, Mr. Peter will be here with us through to the end for our questions and answer, and also feedbacks on the presentations that was made, that will be made rather. So our group presenter, if you're ready, right, Motirola, if I'm not mistaken, if I got your name correctly, please, you can come up and make the presentation on behalf of your group.
Yes,
Okay, we can't really hear you. Can you speak out loud?
okay, I said yes, I am.
All right, please go ahead and share your slides so that we can have your presentation.
Okay.
Okay, we can see your screen. Please go ahead.
I don't know, you know.
Sorry, you're not very audible. Please, can you try to speak up? Motirola. Okay. Uh,
Can you hear me now?
okay, yes, much better.
Okay, okay. Thank you. So you can see my screen, right?
Yes, your screen is visible.
Okay. All right. Um. So now, the topic will be dealing with is fintech business models, profit models, and FT sector spread. So very quickly, be running through a number of things such as fintech business model strategies, fintech and financial inclusion, cyber security as well. So please just follow me as I present this. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to present this as well. Okay, so quickly we'll be talking about fintech business model, and a fintech business model is basically a plan for a financial technology business, and fintech simply means financial technology, right? So the business model in itself is like what are the strategies that are usually put in place. Sorry, I just noticed my video is not on. Okay, okay. So a fintech business model, like financial technology, are models or strategies that are put in place by fintech companies, basically to ensure more inclusivity and accessibility of their financial services by the users. So some of the examples of these methods include payment and wealth management, crowdfunding, peer-to-peer lending, and capital market. Basically, what all this entails, they are just different strategies or models that are used by these financial technology companies. So for instance, in the capital market space, for instance, it is one of like the strategies that are used in place by the financial technology companies. We also have example of insurance or in crowdfunding or wealth management. All these are like strategies that are used by the fintech companies. So now, what are the impact of fintech or financial technology on small and medium enterprises, which are SMEs, and basically what this means is what are like the positive advantages, or how have they influenced or impacted small and medium enterprises or business, and basically the most of the influence of fintech include enhanced financial access, reduced financial costs, digital payments and transactions, and financial inclusion. So, for instance, when we talk about financial inclusion basically means the accessibility of financial services that are offered by fintech companies, accessibility of these services by most people, by a larger percentage. So, using Nigeria for instance, we have popular fintech companies like Kuda, OP, and all of that. And one of the paramount impact or influence of these fintech companies is the fact that like a lot of small and medium businesses or enterprises can have more access to financial services, and this is what financial inclusion entails. And also another example is how seamless and faster a lot of digital payment and transactions are being made nowadays. So now we'll be looking quickly at the regulatory frameworks and compliance challenges. So the essence of regulations when it comes to fintech, because fintech is something that deals with data, it deals with technology, deals with finances as well, right? So some of the reasons or importance of regulations when it comes to fintech industry include safeguarding data of users, and I think this is one of the paramount importance of regulation in fintech. So making use of financial services that are being offered by fintech companies, a lot of data or a lot of data of users are usually being gotten or collected, right? So one of the reasons why there is a need for regulation is to ensure that there are no breaches or there are no fraudulent activities making fraudulent use of data of users. Also, it ensures stability when it comes to, because like I said earlier, fintech has to do with financial technology, right? So in order to enhance stability in financial system, there are regulations are very important and paramount, and that's why there's a need for regulation when it comes to the fintech industry in at large rather. So okay, in order to save our time, another thing we'll be looking at very quickly is the examples of regulatory compliance rather that are included when it comes to fintech companies, and some of the things that when we talk about regulatory compliance in fintech industry, we're talking about um, data privacy regulations. Like I said earlier, it includes or it has to do with the use of data of a lot of users and all of that. So following data privacy regulations, maintaining cybersecurity standards. Cybersecurity too is a very paramount issue when it comes to the fintech industry, and we'll be looking at this later on in the presentation. So another important thing or for regulatory compliance when it comes to fintech companies is licenses. It is important to obtain the necessary licenses that needs to be used there. We have like a lot of startups and fintech companies in Nigeria, for instance. So the one of the issues or legal issues that will be looked at is are the necessary licenses put in place or are they being acquired? So and like I said earlier, another thing with regulatory compliance in fintech is it ensures compliance with the necessary regulations that are being put in place, and most importantly it ensures consumer protection. For instance, the data privacy issue that I raised earlier, it is a very important issue in fintech industry generally. So ensuring that there are regulations that are put in place and that these regulations are being complied with would ensure consumers protection and would ensure that every consumer's privacy right is safeguarded and is not breached as well. um Sorry, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go on.
Okay. Okay, so another important thing to look at when it comes to the with fintech industry and startups in as a whole is the or are the regulatory challenges, some of the challenges in fintech startups, and examples of this are the evolving regulations. It is a major challenge for most fintech startups or companies or like generally in the fintech industry because in recent times we've seen like a lot of regulations are being put in place like at every time, and it is more like a major challenge because keeping up with those regulations can in a way interfere with the financial technological services that are being provided by the fintech industry companies and startups in general. Also, this is also under the evolving regulations as well. Some unclear regulations in some instances where it may be ambiguous or might not be clear enough. It leaves a kind of gap and a major challenge for most fintech startups and industries. And also, there are a lot of socioeconomic considerations that has to be put in place or that needs to be considered. So using Nigerian station as an example, some of fintech solutions needs to be adapted to the specific needs of the populace, and most times the regulations might not always put this into consideration in most instances. Like I said earlier, like the examples or practical examples would that would just be majorly in Nigeria. So like using Nigeria as most of the regulations that are put in especially cater for the specific needs of the population or that is of the larger percentage of people that are making use of these financial services being offered by financial technological companies and startups in general. So, having talked about that, some very popular or very important laws, because we are talking about regulatory compliance and all of that, some very important laws to take note of that regulates financial technology, fintech in Nigeria include the Company Analyzed Matters Act, the Cyber Crimes Act, because the issue of data privacy too is another thing. So we have the Nigerian Data Protection regulation, and we also have the Money Laundering Act because we are talking about the use of or we are talking about provision of financial technological services. So we most of these laws or regulations or legislations rather regulate fintech industry in Nigeria. So we also have the main regulatory bodies as well, and this is the Central Bank of Nigeria, the CBN, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and National Information Technology Development Agency. So CBN has over the years has played a major role when it comes to development of fintech in Nigeria. I think the first week we looked at the development of fintech generally, and in the course of the research, one of the things that I found out was I think in 2013 that was the year when digital payment system or electronic digital banking system was introduced by CBN, for instance. So that was when it's we can see like a kind of development and progression. So I think that majorly even influenced a lot of financial technological startups and companies to provide more services and all of that. So the Central Bank of Nigeria is one of the major regulatory body in fintech or in ensuring compliance with fintech regulations in Nigeria. So and like I said, we've discussed some of the challenges when it comes to fintech and compliance and complexity, uncertainty, and inconsistent application of all these regulations and all of that are like a major challenge to the to compliance. Even there's a major challenge to compliance itself by the fintech companies, and we looked at some of the issues or some of the reasons why this is a major challenge, such as the socioeconomic lack of consideration for socio-economic situation of Nigeria. So very quickly now, we'll be moving to digital payment infrastructure and financial inclusion, basically fintech and financial inclusion. And like I explained earlier, financial inclusion means making financial services and products by fintech companies and startups more accessible to people, or and making it more affordable to people. So, and fintech generally has played a major role to on financial inclusion in Nigeria. For instance, a lot of people now have understanding or can make do a lot of things, whether lending, borrowing, payment and transactions, or making seamless transactions basically with the use of fintech services. And this is what financial inclusion basically or simply entails. And digital payment system basically is an electronic payment system that where financial transactions can be carried out easily. So for instance, the idea of digital banking system, a lot of banks, whether you are using First Bank, Polaris, Sterling Bank, or whatever bank you are using, you have your mobile banking app where you can make a lot of payments, or you can, apart from payments, you can do a number of other things on your digital or mobile banking app. So this is basically what digital payment system entails. And as I have explained, some of the services that this system offer include mobile payment systems, mobile wallets, cryptocurrencies too. Basically, they are like digital currencies like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a very popular one. I think Binance too, and even recently there was like an uproar about the Binance generally in Nigeria because of the regulation that the government put in place. And this is one of the challenges that is being faced, as I explained earlier, when it comes to compliance by fintech startups and companies in Nigeria. So, lastly, would be looking at cybersecurity and data privacy concerns when it comes to fintech in Nigeria. I explained earlier that data privacy is one of the important things, because when we talk about financial services or financial technological services, to be precise, it makes use of data of a lot of users, and this data can be subject to breaches, or it can may some in some situations it may be breached, right? So cybersecurity basically involves the necessary things, or necessary protection and protecting system that is being put in place to avoid cyber or digital attacks. So in the attack basically usually aim to disrupt or interrupt or interfere with the normal business operations. It can extort money from users, or it can access and destroy that important or sensitive information. So in a nutshell, data privacy definitely focuses on ensuring that all the data of users that are being collected um, are properly protected and they are not breached. It ensures that the individual privacy rights of everyone is protected. So, for instance, even the Constitution makes provision for the right to privacy of everyone. So, we have regulations in Nigeria like the Nigerian Data Protection Act. We also have regulations from Europe, for instance, the General Data Protection Regulation, and even in the United States. So basically, essence of cybersecurity and data privacy in fintech, as one, is to ensure that in providing essential financial and technological services to users, the data of users that are being collected are properly protected, and cybersecurity is put in place to ensure that there are essential protecting system that are put in place in order to prevent any cyber attack or digital attack that might disrupt or hamper with the data of users that are collected, or the data of users who make use of these financial services. So as I have explained, basically the role of cybersecurity in data protection is one that is very paramount, and it's cybersecurity essentially involves using technology and every protecting system to ensure or to prevent cyber attack or to prevent the breach of data privacy of users. So, in conclusion, we've looked at generally the regulatory frameworks for fintech in Nigeria. We've looked at the fintech business models. We've looked at the impact of regulations of fintech industry in Nigeria and generally in every sphere or jurisdiction. And basically, we come to a conclusion that cybersecurity and data privacy is a subject or concept that's very important when it comes to fintech and financial inclusion, because the data of users that make use of these financial services are to be protected, and it is essential to put in place the every appropriate structure or protecting system to prevent any form of attack that might hamper with the data of users that make use of financial technological services by fintech companies or startups. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Motirola, for that presentation. And I want to say well done to and I want to say well done to all the group members that put hand in hands to make sure that the presentation was able to, like, was ready on time, and the group was able to make presentation in the session. So well done to every member of group one that was able to put in the effort. We say thank you and well done. I know, considering the topic that was given to the mentees, right? People who spoke from a Nigerian or from more of a Nigerian centered overview or outlook of the topic. So, and Mr. Peter, who happens to be based in Europe, right, may have a more global a more global overview or outlook on the topic, right, or on what you people made presentation on. So I know he may not necessarily be able to totally connect in that light to everything that was said, considering that a lot was mentioned um, as regards the Nigerian laws, considering that our mentees rather, are based in Nigeria. A lot of them are based in Nigeria. But we still want to hear from Mr. Peter. Looking at the presentation that was made, what are some of your observations? Are there things that you feel the mentees should have done better while compiling the presentation? Are there areas you feel like they missed out on, or things that you just generally have advice to give on?
Yes, thank you, Dave. Thank you, Motirola, for your presentation. I have
Sir.
not, sorry?
Oh, I said thank you, sir.
Thank you. Sorry, but it's really a very well elaborated presentation. I like it very much because it gives a really good overview on fintech business model, especially from the regulatory point of view, and that's actually the one of very important approach when you try to set up a fintech business, the regulatory approach. I would like to highlight some points on your presentation. I liked the idea how you elaborated the impact on small and medium enterprises, because I think, according to me, fintech is the technology or the business for small and medium enterprises. It brings advantages for this kind or this type of companies, not for the big one, but for the small and medium-sized company. Why? Because fintech technology tries to reduce the cost, tries to bring other players to the market. So what you said in your slide is really good. I liked it. It's also part of, you heard that expression many times maybe when you went through fintech, that disruption. So that is where smaller and medium-sized companies entering the market. That is because of fintech. I also liked the approach regulatory challenges, what you said, and that's important to emphasize to adapt or to evolving regulations. I think you elaborated all these kind of acts, which are basically, to be honest, everywhere the same. We have money laundering, cyber crimes, data protection. In all the countries, these kind of acts are applicable to fintech companies and certainly banking, financial services acts, whatever they are called. And maybe we have in Switzerland a special DLT act where fintech companies are regulated, but that's all perfect. But the regulations are evolving. I think that is a very, very important point. Also a challenge for a fintech company, because when you set up your model, you are in the market and the regulation changes, so that's an issue. The third point I would like to highlight on your presentation is what you said about financial inclusion. That is also part of this famous disruption. So that means that fintech tries to open financial market to everybody. I call it's the democratization of the financial market, because of the fact that fintech reduces the costs and fintech reduces also the time to have access to different kind of um, financial markets or financial services, as you call it. So basically, I liked your presentation. I think it's very well a good presentation based on giving an overview on the regulatory aspect and the regulatory approach. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Peter, for your contribution. Okay, please, Mutirola, you can stop sharing your screen. Thank you. All right, so we'll be going into questions and answers. Right, since that we could only have it's only Mr. Peter that was able to make it as a mentor to the call. Right, thank you so much, Mr. Peter. We are glad to have you with us. So we'll just be quickly going through questions and answers. Right, I'm sure Mr. Peter shared a few things that our mentees were able to relate with, and also looked at considering the nature of the research that was given to the mentees. So please, we would like to take questions. Are there live questions? And if you can still throw in your questions into the chat box, and we'll do well to read them. Okay, there are a few questions that were sent to us, and I'll be putting them on the chat box right about now. I'm coming. Um, okay, so we have, I think, three questions here. Well, quite a number of them are tied to, I believe they were made in regards to the Nigerian or the a Nigerian jurisdiction like kind of frame, the frames that they were given. But we'll still be asking, considering that you are or you work with the fintech industry in the global north. So we'll still like to get your perspective on these questions from a more global perspective, and try to hear or just get your perspective on what some of these, just as to regards this particular question. So the first question here is, how are fintech companies ensuring that their third-party service providers are complying with data privacy regulation. Maybe from your own point of view, maybe with the fintech companies you've currently or you've worked with or are currently working with, how have those companies been able to ensure that they've been able to comply with data privacy regulations, sir?
That's a very good question, actually. Uh, I can answer this question mainly from the European perspective. Why from the European perspective? We had in the last couple of years, we had a massive legislation regarding data protection, data privacy, and what is now enacted in the last year, also in Switzerland, is a very tough regulation. That means governments in Europe had set up regulations where you are fined in a way you voluntarily comply with data privacy. And that also brings the company to really set up very strict rules in your contracts, how the data privacy is regulated. So you put in your agreements with your counterparty specific clauses regarding that, and you choose service providers which are under a level regulated itself under a level where you can think, yes, that is acceptable for my business. For instance, we had this situation. The European Union and Switzerland had an agreement with the United States, some kind of a data protection shield, where the United States and Europe guaranteed each other a same level of data protection. And 2 years ago, European Union and Switzerland, they cancelled this agreement because they found out that US company do not comply with this regulation, with this standard. And that, at the end of the day, the lawgiver in the United States had to come up with the data protection level, which happened now so far. What does that mean? The data shield, that meant that European companies were not allowed to store data in the United States, which, when you think of Google, Amazon, and so on, that was a nightmare. So to answer the question is, on the one hand, you choose a provider which is reliable, which is under jurisdiction where you think it's a reliable jurisdiction, and you have to ask where the data is stored, physically stored, and so on. And the other part is contractual clauses to ensure that your service provider complies with the data privacy.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Peter, for helping us with that question. I'm just trying to look through the other questions that are here. Um, okay, and I'm trying to gauge them. The second question is, how are fintech companies balancing the needs for with regulatory compliance with their needs to innovate?
That is really on the one hand, when you set up your fintech business, you are already thinking of the regulatory aspect. That was elaborated by Motorola very well. You should not start a business where you are not sure from the regulatory point of view. And that's one aspect, and how to balance out during your business when you're operating your business. This is actually part of of your business model to adopt it whenever the regulation is changing or adopting. So we have to adopt your business model. And basically, as a lawyer, I have to say, if your business model does not comply with regulatory compliance, you should stop your business. It's never wise to be that innovative when you do not comply with law. Yeah, that's at the end of the day. So you have to balance it out, and that is really something which is. Not the daily life, but you see the regulator, the lawgiver, how it develops and how it's moving forward. But in countries where you have no regulation, you usually have the opportunity or the possibility to be the first, and then that's what I saw recently in India in a project where the lawgiver came and said, "How do you do that?" And we are going to regulate it now how you do it. So the lawgiver was after the fintech company. So that's also a possibility. But this is a really challenge, yes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Peter. Our last question here is how can government work with fintech companies to improve the infrastructure required for digital payments, including access to internet and mobile technology?
Yes, I think it's there are several aspects. The government, according to my understanding, the government is responsible for the infrastructure. For the infrastructure for internet, for all this kind of access to create an access for everybody to the internet. That's the main task of the government, to provide infrastructure, to provide access to internet, to provide access to information. And the second task of the government is to set up a law or laws which are understandable, reliable, which are also, let's put it that way, that a company can comply with that. So if a government is really keen on having a lot of fintech companies in their country, they should set up laws, framework where the companies feel good, feel safe, where they can work under this regulatory framework. And that two aspects, infrastructure and law framework, that will actually help most the fintech companies to do their job to get a good business actually.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I think I have a personal question I would like to ask. Considering how I think you made mention of some profit models that um, people can work with, fintechs can work in with to make sure that they are able to attract a certain level of customer base and gain profits eventually from it. Considering that you have worked with quite a number of fintech companies and you have also observed the trends of some fintech companies across Europe. What are there trends of particular profit models that you have seen work across the continent or within Switzerland as a whole? Like, are there particular trends of profit models that you think have worked and may most likely work in more third world like countries?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I mean, a lot of fintech companies do fail. Also, it's not also that they're successful, but it is. I think the best way to get to to get your revenue, to get your profit is licensing, is or a transaction fee. This kind of things like, for instance, I think one of the most successful fintech company at the moment is Klarna. Klarna provides this buy now and pay later solutions in different areas, and they get the transaction fee. All kind of tokenization models for where payment transactions are tokenized, they get all a transaction fee. So this is something which is actually the easiest way to do that, and fortunately, we have more and more also solutions like Stripe or other payment solution where you can back up your fintech model with an existing payment solution where you really get your share. So that is the one thing. And certainly, what I mentioned in my presentation, InsurTech is something which is moving on now, because insurance companies, at least in Europe, are huge companies, are big companies. They are not really ready to move. So we have more and more smaller insurance companies in Europe providing insurtech solutions. That's a very interesting market actually at the moment.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Peter. Thank you for sparing your time to help share your knowledge. Your presentation was very insightful, and you were able to run us through on a lot of questions that were asked. So we thank you so much for helping us with that. We're really grateful. Just before we go, I think we spent an hour or so in session already. I still want to ask if our mentees have any other questions they would like to ask, or okay, if there are none, then we would just like to have a quick picture time. Right. So with that, if that would be possible, I would like to plead with our mentees to turn on their video cameras so that we can see you and then also take a quick picture for our social media postings. So please do well to turn on your pictures, your videos, so that we can have that quickly. All right, thank you very much. We're done with that. Special thanks to Mr. Peter once again for sparing your time and your energy to be here. We are really grateful. We look forward to having you probably maybe in subsequent quarters where we can learn more from you. You can also share with us more information as regards these topics that pertain to the fintech industry. You are very much, we are very much grateful, sir. And on behalf of all our mentees and the JIIPCC mentorship and internship program, we say thank you. And I think with that, we've come to the end of today's session. It's been a wonderful 1 hour in class. So much knowledge has been dispersed from Mr. Peter. I would say well done to the mentees that were able to come up with their presentation once again. Well done to Motirola for taking up the courage to make that presentation. It was very well presented in that sense. So with that, we've come to the end of today's program. Look forward to see you all in the next session. Take care. Goodbye, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.